Look, we're talking about systems just increasing and increasing. So with the kind of digitization that we're seeing, there is rapid movement towards cloud, this planned, unplanned movement. It doesn't matter anymore. The perimeter has completely gone brisk. Now, having said that, each of the device today is generating enough amount of data, or rather more amount of data than what we asked for. And Shaumak, as you rightly said, tool brings that importance, but then what makes more sense is how contextual the human resource is per se to understand what is the tool talking at the end of the day, right? To arrive at a better decision making. Now, having said that, and going back to what Harsha suggested just a while back, is majority of times when an incident happens, the folks who are actually looking at the data are not the experts in first place, from a forensic point of view or the initial data point of view as well. Now, even before we talk about the people, what is that data that is required for us today to arrive at an efficient decision from an incident response point of view, right? So when we talk about response, the first thing is, how do I know what has happened in a quick, short interval? Because there is pressure from board in terms of asking where we are in terms of readiness for an operations back again. And then there is this panic situation among teams to approach this problem in a variety of approaches. And data enables you to take that smart calls. And so which essentially brings me to ask this question: how efficient is data collection today? What is that data are we supposed to collect? And what is the importance that technology is bringing, especially from a big data point of view? So we're talking about big data lakes, security big data lakes, especially in the cybersecurity piece for over 3 years now. And we're talking about machine learning and AI-driven intelligence to build a variety of models on top of it, and which enables an analyst to arrive at a conclusion much faster, right? So what is that data point that is essential today to take effective decision from an incident response point of view? And how important is technology enabling that? And of course, skill is always a problem. Training is always a challenge, and we will more talk about that. Shaumak, do you want to take that question, please?
Sure, Praveen. So there's no doubt that data is definitely key to incident management or incident response, because without data we'll not have visibility, and Absolutely. Without visibility we cannot really hunt out a threat that exists in the environment and remediate the incident that occurred, right? So there's no doubt we need visibility. And you already mentioned we have a new generation of platforms. It's not that the traditional old SIEM which we rely upon, where it just ingests logs and that's all, and we are solely dependent on logs. Today's new generation of the new generation of security defense platforms, they all enable capturing packets, full packet capture, logs, endpoint informations and whatnot. So data exists everywhere, and I will say the more we see, it's good. But the only point to note here is we need to derive meaningful context out of the data. Otherwise, the data doesn't make any sense. So when we're ingesting data from any source, right, we should actually add the context of the data. Only in that case, the systems which you just mentioned, AI or analytics driven algos running behind the scene, they will really perform up to the mark. If we can't do that, if we just keep on ingesting data, end of the day, it is going to add on to false positive and cause more of a pain to the analyst in a time of a crisis when they're on a incident management and response. So while there's a great merit in having more visibility with more data, and big data platforms does enable that, we need to be careful of adding right context and ingesting right data. Having said that, I would like to stress on the fact that we need to make sure that we at least get visibility and ingest data across all critical points, or all critical, it can be servers, it can be network devices, it can be endpoints, it can be applications, it can be whatnot, whatever is critical, ideally everything, but at least to start with the critical entities, so that we don't leave out a blind spot, because these are the areas which are taken as advantage by the cyber criminals. If there's a blind spot and that's somehow revealed to the cyber criminal, they probably will take advantage of the blind spot and try to exploit that, because they know probably will not have sufficient information about that specific asset that exists in the network, right? So yeah, so let's not have any blind spot, and let's ingest meaningful data and process that with AI and ML-driven algorithms to identify anomalous behavior, and then have minimal human intervention by automating as much as possible.
Fantastic, Shamal. Thank you so much for that perspective. And Harsha, you may want to pick that perspective up, because day in and day out, your teams do indulge in situations where the correct data insights may not be available on time to fundamentally arrive at a decision-making point of view. What do you think are those 1, 2, and 3 metrics? Not metrics, I would say the data points which are essential for you to take a decisive call in an effective incident response activity, Harsha?
I'll just start with Shamak's perspective, right? Like, if I have to see what is needed for cybersecurity to be effective, right? The first basic thing is visibility, right? Which Shamak was talking about. See, visibility, if you ask me, it's not fully there out there right now. If you see any platform, like the strategies, the way it is done is like most of the strategies are tool driven, right? Like, let's keep this tool, let's keep this tool for this purpose, let's keep this tool for this purpose. And then that's how the security has grown over the years in majority of the organizations. Some organizations definitely are more mature, various levels of mature, but traditionally this is the way it has been driven, right? But now increasingly, what is coming back is where is my data, right? Who owns it? Uh, is it having any significance? In what terms? Business significance, or is like, will it violate any of my compliances like GDPR or PII or related issues, or is it like anything PII or health sensitive data, right? So more and more people are started thinking about it, and these are all there, like in security for a long time, right? Like all these things have to be like a top down approach. First we need to, any new projects taken in an organization should follow this process, where they have to think about this, and this should be a second nature in the organization. But it's the other way around. Like, we have this tool, now figure out what are the things which we need to integrate, right? So that's I think a major issue. But coming back to the point is, what are the important questions which a client asks during an incident is, should I pay? First one, right? Then he wants to know how much of the network is gone outside his outside his environment, right? And what kind of data, how much gigabyte it is, and what is the classification of that data, right? And all this information is something which should have been built before we employ any new security tool or any project. So it's the other way around. And then at the end, when the issue happens, these are the things which they ask. So the main thing which we look at when there is an incident is, coming back to visibility point, is how are my hosts interacting? What are the traffic coming out of the host, right? What are the different packets which are ingress and egress points? What is happening there, right? What is the Active Directory is anyways the culprit, like which will always show all these issues, right? So understand that, and mainly figuring out the basic thing is understanding the traffic, because any malware, most of them will try to communicate something back, right? And that's where our response plan we are trying to mitigate, and then go to that particular system and try to see more artifacts which are more internal to that system, seeing how it originated, what all things it tried to do, is it trying to evade malware, anti-malware systems or virus, what is trying to do, then try to see how we can remediate on a wider organization. So data, coming back to it, is like very important. I just went to very operational things what we look at. But if you see, security nowadays is more of analytics, right? Trying to understand like the big data, and then trying to ingest that in a proper way, and try to retrieve that in a proper way. And that, I think, it's becoming more of a analytics play these days to make
Absolutely.
sense out of the data.
Absolutely. No, and that seems to be the true story as well. And as Shamak just suggested a while back as well, where the focus on crown jewels is not going to help more, because every asset is risky today, and it is important that you have visibility from each and every asset at a highest of order. And big data systems kind of help you out with the exact data in ingestion. Essentially, if I may say, what are those logs are we collecting? Are they really important to us? And more importantly, are we collecting the correct logs? Is the pertinent question that that customers should consistently ask the vendor, if I will, to know how well are they prepared going forward should an incident happen, because majority of times the process insights are left over, and if you just don't have the process insights from an end host, it becomes super hard for you to go back and understand what all artifacts are there per se for you to arrive at a better conclusion. And as you rightly said, network visibility brings in a great perspective of what's happening from a communication point of view, both internally and externally as well.